Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Today we've got a very special guest who's the newest member of our research team. He's a fantastic strategist. I'll just bring up quickly on screen this range of indicators and macro top signals and all these inputs which we're going to be diving into and exploring more today because everyone wants to know where are we in the cycle. So welcome to the show, Phillip.
G'day, Alex. Thanks for having me. Long time listener, as you know. Been a Nuggets News member since 2018 and made a lot of money with the research in the platform. So I really appreciate it.
Awesome. And you're doing some great work. We'll get into how you've been really doing well in the copy trading stuff. We want to show you've got a proven track record now. And as you mentioned, all our team are old Nuggets News subscribers, so I absolutely love it. So where do you want to start, mate? Do you want to give everyone at home your background and how you got into investing in crypto and all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you the TLDR, otherwise we'd be here for a while. I've been in the crypto space since 2017, late 2017. I'm a power systems engineer by trade. So when I saw what was happening with Bitcoin in late 2017, I decided, oh, wow, this is amazing. Look at the run that Bitcoin's had. I'm not going to buy Bitcoin because it's too expensive. I'm going to go buy some altcoins. And those altcoins went to absolute zero in that bear market. And I bought altcoins that were to do with power systems engineering and they all went to zero. So that was my first real taste of the crypto space. Then over the years, 2018, 2019, I was researching, trying to understand the crypto space. And then the more you research, the more you're like, oh, wow, you actually need to understand macro. You need to understand how risk on and risk off works, large caps, small caps. You've got to understand the whole thing, what are bonds. So I went deep down that rabbit hole. And the deeper I went down, the more that I realized that that there needs to be a sort of quantitative approach to all this. And I had the more that I kept going down, I had friends that were sort of saying, oh, can you invest for me? Because I was spruiking Bitcoin and crypto to everyone and anyone that would listen. People were getting sick of me. And there was no real way that I could actually invest on their behalf until I came across a social trading platform called eToro. And I came across them in late 2020. And I realized that I could actually become a copy trade. I could become a popular investor on the platform, and then people could just copy my trades. And it's okay for people with a lot of money, high net worths, but retail don't have that access, and that is until eToro. So I became a eToro member, and then in 2023, I became an eToro popular investor. Before that, I just had 20 or 30 friends and family copying my trades. Then I officially became an eToro popular investor and 565 copiers and 5 million AUD assets under management later. We're here today, and that's obviously grown because I share my research and share my entries and exits, and I'm trying to be completely transparent with that. So, and here we are today in my second full bull run, and absolutely loving it.
Amazing backstory, mate, and yeah, well done on getting to. I think it was in top 1% of traders on eToro who have been a partner of ours in the past as well. But we're going to dive into some of the newer stuff that I've got as well with SMSFs and all that type of stuff that are available for people today. So I think you've got a few slides. Or do you want to talk a little bit more about anything first before we dive into all the stats and data that you're currently using for your decision making?
We can talk about, there's various things that we can talk about. Yeah, eToro I've kind of already touched on as well. We can talk about the SMSF aspect of eToro and, just joining eToro as well. And eToro as a social trading platform. But maybe we just go.
I think let's dive into some of these metrics first, because I know the number one question on people's lips is, have we topped? And I think you and I are both on the same page that Bitcoin's going a lot higher next year, but let's be honest, it's had a monster run, so it probably needs to take a bit of a breather. But let's have a look if you want to share your screen and show us all these metrics and where they're telling us that we are in the current cycle.
No worries. Okay, so maybe I might go into just what the two tools that I have are, and then we can go into what they're telling us. How about that?
Perfect.
Okay, so I've got, can you see that screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got two tools basically. I've got a risk on, risk off tool, and I've got a selling the top series tool. So the risk on, risk off tool is basically helps me take the guesswork out of portfolio allocation. It gives me a multi-month time frame on how I should be positioned, whether that's completely risk off, whether it's risk off, whether it's risk on, or max risk on. That's how it kind of works. And it's based on two things, macro and crypto. And all of that is backed by quantitative data. If you hop onto Twitter, there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions. And I don't trust my opinion, let alone anyone else that's kind of, hand in the air going, yeah, I think we're here or I think we're there. Coming from a power systems engineering background, I like to quantify everything. And I think that's been ingrained over the years. So the Roro tool that I like to call it, I should have called it Riri because that's way sexier than Roro, but
yeah,
it's too late for that now. But basically, it's a tool that has 8 macro factors and several crypto factors. And these are all quantitative, like global liquidity, global interest rates. And when enough of these are signaling that, we're in the green, it's positive, then we start to come risk on. And risk on for everyone is different, right? So for me, risk on might be, 50% allocated to crypto, whereas max risk on will be 100% allocated to crypto and risk on assets, and vice versa. If I'm 100% risk off or max risk off, if that's what the tool tells me, then I'm not holding any risk on assets like tech and crypto.
Yeah.
So that's this tool here. And it's, like I said, it's all backed by data. I'll give you an example of that. So, for example, global liquidity. This is my back-tested global liquidity metric. And as you can see from the tool, it had shown that it was red. And a few days ago, so 17th of November, it turned red. Since that time, Bitcoin has, went up a little bit higher and it's now reconsolidating. So overall, the tool, and I think I've got a later version of it. There you go. This is the latest version of the tool. Right now, we're in risk on mode, which means, for me personally means a high allocation to crypto. If you check my eToro portfolio, I'm about 60% risk on, 40% in cash. And 2 weeks ago, I was 100% risk on, so max risk on. And then I've been taking profits as my tool went from max risk on mode to risk on mode. That's not to say that where the bull market is nearing its end. That's just to say that we're in risk on, preserve that capital so we can allocate during the dips.
Yeah,
so that's the risk on.
Fantastic. That was my next question as well. So if we do have a nice dip and these indicators are still green, whatever, with your strategy, you'll be redeploying that capital at a lower price for the win big picture.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my sort of investment philosophies is only buy when there's blood in the streets and sell into euphoria, which is exactly what we've done on eToro, myself and my copiers. As this euphoria has kicked in, we've been selling into that, and we can have a look at some of those trades that I've made. I might have a few of those trades in here. So as you can see, so these are the trades that I've been making in the last, so closed 5 days ago, 14 days ago, and these are the returns. This is how long I've held them, and it's basically just de-risking the portfolio because we've had a monster run. So, and this is all as a result of the risk on, risk off tool, which is freely available to the Nuggets News members as well.
Amazing stuff, tool. Mate. Yeah, it's I've just absolutely been loving your work. So, what's the next tool that you've got after the Roro one? I don't want to give away all your secrets here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one thing to have all the tools at your disposal. It's another one to be able to interpret them. So with the research that I provide on Nuggets News as well, they get the full interpretation of them. So this is one from October 23rd of October, so right before the elections, said we are in a bull market. We're early in the uptrend. You need diamond hands. All the tools are pointing to we're going higher. The momentum is back. Momentum's coming in. We should be in risk on mode. And the moment that the election went the way of Trump, we went into max risk on mode. So if you had taken your portfolio from, say, 60% risk on to 100% risk on, you would have made a lot of money there.
Amazing stuff. Cool.
So the second tool is it's my Selling the Top of the Crypto Bull Run series. So basically, it's a tool that tracks 29 indicators I think I've got so far. And they're indicators that have consistently called the top of a crypto bull run. Any indicator that fails to call the top, it just gets booted out. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to spend a second of my day thinking about it. And these are the same tools I used to sell the top of the crypto bull run, or near the top of the crypto bull run, in 2021. There was a few week period where I was like, oh my gosh, have I actually sold it right before ETH went to 10 grand?
Yeah.
But as it turned out, I was right. I was just a little bit early. But basically, it's a quantitative strategy to offload the crypto holdings based on three things: sentiment, technical analysis, and on-chain data, rather than what most folks in the crypto space, emotion, narrative, what their favorite key opinion leader is saying. So this is what the tool looks like. And I've tiered them as well. So I've written a little bit here where I've tiered them from the most powerful, reliable indicators, Jedi tier, to ones with strong data-driven indicators, Normie tier. And then you've got their pleb tier indicators, I call them, which are helpful for reading market sentiment.
Yeah. Just quickly, like I want to touch on how you've got sort of pleb and a lot of retail, the trade on emotion, and it's something that we've just highlighted so many times over the years how important sentiment is. But I think one thing I haven't heard people talk about is, everyone's aware now of sort of smartphone and device addiction and the dopamine addictions and the need to dopamine detox. So I think compared to even 4 years ago, I think a lot of that's probably got worse throughout society and investors, and we're kind of seeing that in the pump.fun and some of the just debauchery that's happened in that space, which I think we're going to get to a little bit later in terms of have meme coins topped. But I just wanted to raise that as an important point because leverage is so freely available. It's so easy to trade and click and get into these new memes and whatever these days. So it's become another sort of very high addiction gambling thing that on people's phones that are always with them, I guess, just to remember all that at home.
Absolutely. And the deeper that we go into the bull market, and I might have some data here, the deeper that we go into the bull market, if you don't have an absolute strategy for every single asset that you own and account for all scenarios, you're going to be caught up in these whirlwinds that is, dino coins ripping like mana, sand, bat. You're going to get caught up in your favorite key opinion leader now calling for a 500 grand top. Everyone's posting their year-to-date performance while you feel like you haven't performed. We've had, all of this together is a indicator of sentiment rather than an indicator of where we are in the market. So we can actually be in this state for quite a while before the market's top. But we look at quantitative data to determine where market's top rather than, these feelings of sentiment. You've got to control your emotions during that time. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about a couple of those dot points a bit more, but one thing I do want to mention with the Dino coins is I actually do feel like there's a bit of fundamentals. I put up a post the other day about XRP and XLM and Cardano because I agree that it's so hard for these old coins to survive and come back from previous cycles. But just with those ones, I actually think that some of the stuff that XRP and XLM have been saying about the quantum financial system being used and banks and that kind of thing, which I never really clicked with me. I was always of the opinion very early on that stable coins and companies are going to issue their own stable coins and rails. But there has been some developments there with XRP and that meeting with the Trump administration. And so I think there's a bit of a reason why they've sprung back to life. It remains to be seen if that quantum financial system is going to go live. And with Cardano, they've obviously pivoted to be a bit more of a Bitcoin scaling project, and we interviewed Bitcoin OS the other day and how they're working with Cardano and whatever. So I don't want to upset those coins and those communities at home, but continue on.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you 100%. So I'm a narrative trader through and through, which is why At the bottom of the bear, I allocated 45% of my net worth to Solana because of the narrative. If you had gone to the conferences, if you had seen what was happening, I did a big thesis on it. It was the narrative. Everyone thought it was dead, but the narrative was still there. So when you talk about these, XRP, ADA, so up until the Trump administration got in, there was no narrative for them. As much as we like to think about, their XRP army talking about this sort of stuff, until we got clear regulation, and that's actually one of my tools, right? Regulatory risk has now gone from red to green because we've got a pro crypto president. The moment that happened, what did we see? We saw XRP. They're all in the clear. ADA, Charles Hoskinson speaking with White House reps. Absolutely. So now the narrative is back, and I completely agree with you. There's room to run on these coins as well. Yeah, spot on.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else you want to mention on those other dot points about, I think that phantom flipping Google Chrome's an interesting one.
Yeah, yeah. So this is also one thing that people talk about is Coinbase as the number one app on the App Store.
Yes.
That's a great metric. For me personally, once people download an app, are they really going to delete it in a bear market and download it again? So for me, I don't know if that's as good as a metric in terms of Coinbase app, rather than looking at the number of transacting users on Coinbase, and that's freely available data. But one thing that is new that people wouldn't have had before is Phantom as an app. And when it flips Google Chrome to become the number 2 utility app, there's retail coming back in the market. So that's just my way of understanding that, hey, retail is back, because who else is downloading Phantom on their phone other than retail? You're not going to have a crypto fund doing that.
Yeah, and this relates to, I guess, the stuff I mentioned with pump.fun and all the Solana meme coins and live streams and just retail going crazy in that space. So have you got one more slide you want to get through, and then we'll maybe talk about that stuff in a bit more detail? Or
yeah. So did I finish on the tools? Yeah. So I have finished on the tools, what they are, what they do. I won't go into too much detail on deep dive on all the tools as well. But yeah, we can move on.
Awesome. Do you have anything else you want to share on screen, or do you want me to close that off and we'll chat about some of this other stuff?
We can close it off and have a chat.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, pump.fun. So yesterday we saw, I don't know if I can even say some of the specifics without getting another strike, but just absolute craziness with people willing to sell their soul for trying to pump these new meme coins and whatever, to the point where it was getting dangerous and illegal and whatnot. So people have been calling for that to get shut down. So I think you can make an argument that maybe that sort of meme space and that craziness has topped, or there's signs of just complete euphoria. But I don't think that's the top for all memes or for all altcoins, or definitely not for Bitcoin. So I think people look for the next new shiny thing. And like I've been talking about, I think there are other chains like Stacks as Bitcoin's leading layer 2, where people can go, you know what? Some of these large cap meme coins are now at 10 billion market cap versus 10 million in this space. So capital sort of rotates and it looks for the next big thing, because you're not going to get 100x returns on any of those ones anymore. So do you agree with that? Am I being biased because I love Bitcoin DeFi so much, or what are your thoughts on all that?
No, I agree with that as well. So if we look at, again, narrative and mindshare, most of the mindshare went to things like WIF, Giga, SPX 6900. But when they're at multi-billion-dollar market cap, and you have 14,000 new meme coins being produced every day, the chances of this going from 1 billion to 100 billion are slim to none. But the chances of a 10 or $5 million project on a Bitcoin DeFi going from 10 million to 100 million, that's a lot easier pill to swallow. So I think if anything, you're going to see the lower cap coins outperform, and people are always chasing new narratives. So, and the Bitcoin layer 2 narrative is, you can see that it's already trending upwards.
So
in the
what
sentiment.
was the latest stat you just said of how many coins are listing a day on pump.fun now?
14,000 coins daily on Pump.
14,000. 14,000 coins daily. So, guys, there's now, I think there'd be 14 coins on stacks with the market cap between 1 million and 10, 20 million, the largest ones might be. So, that's, again, just that wait for the sheer numbers of growth where people can go, you know what, I can go launch a coin here and be one of the first 100 meme coins still ever on this new ecosystem, or I can compete with however many hundreds of thousands there are and 14,000 new coins a day. It's just completely saturated. And that's why I think good traders are going to move, and then everyone follows where the traders and the KOLs and influencers tell them to go next. And I think that's what we're about to see.
Yeah, exactly. And just one thing on that as well, if we look at history, when base became a mainstream thing, what happened? Brett and the rest of them, the first meme coins on that chain just absolutely tore. And I think the same will happen on BTC layer 2.
Awesome. So let's dive into some of the SMSF stuff. So as you said, so guys that aren't familiar, eToro is that trading platform that we've spoken about in the past. You can do the copy trading and whatever to copy people like Phillip. But they've now got a self-managed super fund option as well, which I wasn't familiar with. So do you want to talk us through that a bit?
Yep, absolutely. So,
and this is all legal in Australia as well for our Australian audience. Yep.
Absolutely. And not only is it legal, it's like, I'll just bring up, there's my screen, this one here. So you also get a level of customer service that you don't get elsewhere. So I'll just share my screen as well. So there's a level, so I'll just bring up the eToro SMSF. Yeah. So there's a level of service that you don't get elsewhere. You get a dedicated account manager. And to top it all off, you choose. When you've got an SMSF, and this isn't financial advice, everyone has to do their own research. I've got an SMSF personally, and for people that follow my work, they all know that I've outperformed a simple, super fund strategy. But eToro as an SMSF platform, and once you've got an SMSF, you can decide what you want to invest in. You can buy crypto, commodities, stocks, whether they're Aussie stocks, global stocks. You can buy ETFs, you can short, you can go long, you can do all the things. And to top it all off, you've also got a budding community as well. So I have not found a community on eToro that I found anywhere else. So for example, if I want to talk about the Solana upcoming token unlock in March, if I go on Twitter, you might find, a few posts with people with a few comments, usually taking stabs at each other. If you go on Reddit, you might find a few posts here and there. But when you go on eToro, every sort of, people project 10x, every sort of post that you make or question that you ask ends up leading to many comments. So this is just a little fun post that I made. 29 comments, 63 likes. There's people talking about every single thing that you want to talk about. So that sort of community on eToro, I think, is second to none. Awesome. And in an SMSF scenario where it's really hard to sort of understand what we're doing, I think this works out really good. On the SMSF front, though, the reason why I think SMSFs, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, the reason why I think they're useful is because traditional super funds, for where I want to be, this is just me speaking from my perspective, are not going to get me there. So this is the returns of the biggest super fund in Australia. It's called Australian Super, and it's had an 8.07% average annual return over the last decade. This is the data. So that's not going to get me there to where I want to be. So I need to take control of my money. And by taking control of my money, I can then decide to invest in what I want to invest in. And there's plenty, from my perspective, there's plenty more better options than investing in, a mix of real estate, bonds, and whatever else.
And I think this comes back to an important macro point, is that we're told inflation, for over the past decade or decades has been about 2 or 3%. But we know in reality it's close to 8 to 10%. So when you see these, property has roughly done the same and super, they're just basically keeping up and tracking inflation, the amount of money that's being printed. And so there's three types of people. There's people that are, only getting their wages and that 2 to 3% growth, and they're feeling behind and they're feeling the pinch at the moment. You've got those that are maybe getting that 8% through their stocks and property, and they're going okay. They're not really feeling the pinch. But then, as you said, if you actually want to get in front, obviously it's high risk to do so. But you have to be getting higher than the amount of money they're printing in inflation to be getting in front in terms of the amount of assets you own and your wealth, and ultimately freedom, which is what we're all aiming for, Philip.
Exactly. So if we look at, I mean, Trueflation has some fantastic data. So from 2020 to 2024, the cumulative inflation is about 26% last time I checked for the US. And while they don't have Aussie data, you can sort of extrapolate and sort of say, okay, well, if it's 26% there, it might be 20% or 30%, whatever it might be in Australia. That is why we feel poorer. That is why we are more strapped for cash, because inflation keeps going up.
Yeah.
So if our hurdle rate is, as you said, 8 to 10%, then we need assets that go above and beyond that 8% return. And that's where things like crypto and tech wins.
Yeah, awesome. Anything else you wanted to go over today, Philip? Otherwise, guys, I will drop the links below to follow Philip on socials, to copy him on eToro, and the links to that super stuff if you're interested in checking all that out. But any thoughts for people at home, Philip?
No, so I will say that all my research as well is published on the Nuggets News platform. I think I've already shown the posting that I make. You'll get access to the risk on, risk off tool, and the selling the top series. I've also got a buying the bottom series, but we'll talk about that in the bottom of the bear market. So if you want it, hop on to Nuggets News and let's make some money this bull run.
Fantastic. And Philip's also offered to, now he's on the team, to join with our VIP clients with our once a month call, and all the stuff we do with our VIPs, as well as the normal membership stuff where you're going to get all our research, guys. So I'll stop sharing that screen, Phil. But that's been an amazing chat, mate. Well done on your journey and your story and now your success and whatever. And we'll definitely have to catch up again soon.
I appreciate it. I'll see you in the Nuggets News platform. Thanks, Alex.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.